Okay, so you can also of course determine the angle or the plane that bisects the angle between two planes when you actually use the pole to the planes. So let's just quickly draw ourselves two planes here. So there we've got one plane. Okay, and I can very quickly draw in the pole to this plane as well. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees. Let's do our second plane. We pick a plane and we say we pick this plane here. Let me just see if my slide is still right. Okay, fine. Okay, and here in the terrible purple color we then do our second plane. And again, because we are on a great circle, we can count away for the pole. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees. And that is the pole to that plane. So how do we now very quickly, determine the orientation of the plane? Well, we can take them, we can rotate them, these two poles, until they fall on the same great circle as you see it basically does in this orientation. So I can draw in the plane along which these two great circles lie. I can then go and count the angle between these two great circles, or these two poles on the great circle. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's 100. So let's call it 104. So if it's 104, it means that the angle between the two would be 52, the halfway point. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 52. So that represents the pole to the plane that would of course bisect this angle here. You can see we can immediately go and reconstruct that actual pole if we go and we count 90 degrees away from this. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and we then draw in the great circle. So you can see that that pole would represent this plane that bisects this angle. So if you want to know what the other one is, okay, what is the orientation of this plane, it means that we will have to count 90 degrees away from this specific pole. So that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oh, let me just move it correctly here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees. Interestingly enough, it falls right there. Okay, so if you want to reconstruct that actual plane, we bring this to the east-west reference line, we count away 90 degrees. That would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees. We draw in the great circle to this, and we see that it actually represents this plane. Okay, so when we rotate this back to north, to see what's actually going on here, you will see that the pole in between, that appears for a lot of people to represent the acute angle, you always have to remember that it's at 90 degrees away. So that actually represents the plane that bisects the obtuse angle. 90 degrees away from this, we've got a pole, and that pole sits in the field that appears to a lot of people would indicate the obtuse angle. But remember, that actually represents a plane that is 90 degrees away, okay, which of course bisects the acute angle between these two planes. There you go.